Hello and welcome to Bridging the Gap. I'm Ian Hansen. This is intuitive medium and spiritual advisor Brenda Burgett. Brenda, on today's edition of the program, we're going to be starting with the weather report. Actually, we're going to be talking about dark clouds throughout our little discussion time today and finding out what they mean to you. Dark clouds as in clouds that follow people around. Who was the cartoon character that always had a dark cloud over his head?
Oh, I don't remember.
I believe it was Eeyore.
Eeyore.
Funny thing, you worked with a donkey yesterday, as a matter of fact, too, so we can rope that in.
Donkeys.
We're not fooling either. She really did, in her animal communication side of the equation, work with a couple of donkeys and a couple of mules.
A couple of mules, and a dog, and a cat, and actually a cat that had passed.
And that's a cool story, so we're going to tell you that story, too, at some point during all this. And what leads us to talk about dark clouds with you today is our first question. Talks about a black cloud that someone feels like has been following them around. So we're going to find out exactly maybe if there is one, maybe if there is such a thing at all, and how you might be able to avoid having gotten under one for a while.
All right, let's see what they have to say about it.
Very good. And remember, you can get questions to Brenda Burgett if you'd like to. She will tell your future. And remember, the future is malleable because that's the way it works, right?
That's the way it works.
Okay. Well, it actually comes through you, so you can get your own answers. You can find out more about the entire project, too, at bridgingthegap.com. No, at Bridging the Gap on TV. That's our YouTube channel, and then you've got bridgingthegaptv.com or bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com. You can visit any of those. What is bridgingthegap.com, Jason? Our man behind the scenes. Do you know what it is? If you were to go to their...
I think it's the Ghana guy.
Is it the Ghana guy?
I think it is.
Okay. I now know where that is, by the way, too. So hello to the entire northwestern African coastline. You can wave at the people on the border at Côte d'Ivoire, which is on the west side.
I know that.
Yeah, Togo is on the other side, actually. Oh, see, getting better at this stuff. So, Brenda, you ready for this question?
I'm ready.
I think it's Togo or Togo, one or the other. So, this question comes in from Cindy. Thank you in advance, Cindy, for asking this. It goes as follows. It says, I feel like I have a black cloud over me and have had for about a year now. I have had cancer. I lost my dog, and I feel like I am on a slow ride to nowhere, to quote a song lyric, I believe. How do I get my energy back, and how do I know when it may be coming back? It is am I doing things not from source, as you call it? How can I change? And where is my life going? A lot of questions in here. I guess in general they just like to know perhaps what has happened to make them feel like they've got this dark cloud and how they might be able to feel like they can remove it.
The first thing that comes is, like I've said so many times, it bores me to hear it, but it's very true. You create your own reality. You do. She has created her own reality. How do you say, did she get cancer? Why did her dog die? And what was the other one?
Well, it's...
Where's her life's going nowhere.
Yeah, just in general. I mean, those are two pretty big things. Someone's
two huge things.
Dog dies and it's a bad enough day, and probably several months afterwards, cancer can mess up a few days.
Cancer can mess up a lot of things.
Yeah.
Cancer's in your body all the time. And it waits for an opportune time, and it strikes wherever it happens to be the weak part of your body. This is not my idea. I hear it a lot from different people. So what happened on this whole thing was she had a hard time figuring out where she was going. The dog dying was dogs die. She didn't kill it. It didn't die despite her. It was a natural passing of energy. The cancer got her attention. One thing I'm really pleased with, she didn't say my cancer. She didn't own it. She had cancer. Cancer was in her body. I'm assuming that that's something that's no longer there, or at least in remission. Where is my life going? She's taken a direction that was the easy way out. And I see nothing wrong with the easy way out. That's my favorite way to go. If it's hard, I'm going to look for another way. But she picked a way that didn't work for her and found that it was something that was literally something she could not deal with. So she got sick. She's in a job, dead-end job. I don't see a relationship there at all. with another person, other than just friends. And even the friends are people who tend to drag her down. She's asking this question for a reason, and they're saying if she really wants to change, she has the answer. There's a bright light. There's a bright light over one side, which means it's there. It's there if she looks for it and if she wants it. She has to admit that she has not wanted it, and it's been easier for her to just hide. Nothing wrong with the job she has, other than the fact that it doesn't fit her needs. I'm not telling her what to do, and they're not telling her what to do, but it's literally a time in her life where they're saying, either live with all this, die with all this, or make some changes. It's your choice.
Is there any one thing that you would suggest she do to start shooing this dark cloud away that she perceives as being there? Again, you've said there's a light over one shoulder.
She needs to own it. She needs to know that this came into her life for a very definite reason, and I'm going to say you brought it. It was there. How can you change it? You change it. You make a conscious decision to look for a light somewhere. It's there. Direction is there. Does she have to go that way? No. She can live her life exactly the way she is, and it is what it is, but there is a choice there. The light says that they are showing her another way. Try meditating, try walking, try being still, try praying. Ask for help and it will be there. What they're saying to say to her is, it definitely is her choice. And there is no right, there is no wrong. It's simply what she chooses.
All right. Well, I hope that helped you, Cindy, and we appreciate your sending in the question to Brenda Burgett. You can send in your questions again to Brenda. Go to the website. It's bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com. Same place is where you'll find if you go to bridgingthegaptv.com as well. So Brenda, the perception of dark clouds, we promised to get into that, and that's something that, aside from Eeyore, which is something we learned growing up from the fine folks who assemble Winnie the Pooh, probably belongs to Disney now, like every other cartoon made before 1980 does. Sadly, actually. What's the deal with that? I mean, dark clouds manifesting, dark clouds following us around, it's raining on me, because again, clouds would veil that light that is omnipresent. So I like the metaphor. The metaphor works for me in the sense that there is always a bright light up above, but something is shielding it, whether it's something that we create or something that's floated in. Is it possible that it's both, or is it always something that we make our own condensation of emotions and other baggage to produce?
First of all, it is exactly the way we keep saying. It's the way you look at that dark cloud. I love the rain. The rain and black clouds, to me, rejuvenates me, makes me happy. I like sun as well. How many times have you been around someone and said, see, I told you it was going to rain. See, I told you this was going to blow up in your face.
A lot of farmers, actually, with that, you know.
Right, and I told you this wasn't going to work, and I just knew this was going to happen. Guess what? Bring it on. You bring it on. A conscious decision to change the way you look at things will change your world. I was raised and grew up in a very negative family. Very, very, very negative family. And I was always the one that they were looking at like they found me under a rock, and I think they did. Actually,
We're checking on that now, actually,
spaceship
too.
brought me and said, okay, this is your penance for being bad people. You must have this girl child who will make you crazy. But it was a feeling I came with, that I had the option, I had the change. Did you come that way? Did we all come that way? I don't know. All I know is it's a conscious decision to take a look at the things around you and change the way you look at it. Change the way you look at it, change your life. Nothing wrong with predicting that it's all going to hell in a handbasket. Nothing wrong with, I told you that was going to, if that makes you happy and you still have people around you, then go for it. If you don't like it, change it.
Well, one nice thing about dark clouds, too, is they typically, even during the rainy season, will eventually part. I mean, you can always count on better times. Terrible time actually happened to a very dear friend, very dear loved one of mine, I won't say who, but it's one of the funniest things that I reflect on in my whole life, because my mother was there trying to ease the situation, and it had been going on for days, and the strife was getting worse and more intense, and it was just awful. And I had slipped into the picture sort of unwillingly, but I needed to be there for some support. And I heard my mother come to the end of her ropes with what, because she just had it at that point. So what else can you do to console this person who's not consolable? And she says to them, well, it couldn't get any worse. And the person flew off the handle and said, no, it could get worse. That's what people say when it couldn't get any worse than it already is. It couldn't get any worse, and it's going to get worse. And it was just, I don't know. I thought it was hilarious myself. Because it was just like, oh gosh, ease up on yourself a little bit here.
Yeah, I absolutely love Dr. Phil's one-liner that says, how's that working for you?
Yeah, we like that. We like that one thing about Dr. Phil, and I
yes.
don't know that, at least he doesn't sell the diet food anymore. That was a problem for me. I mean, Jason, it was a problem for you, Chuffy? Yeah? He's giving us a little kind of a nod back there. I think that you should probably be pretty hot looking if you're going to sell diet food, just not some mental...
Hey, you put a little hair on the man's
You're just
hair.
trying to you're trying to get a big contract, and I'm just telling it like
I'm
it is,
here,
folks.
Dr.
I have nothing against Dr. Phil.
I will appear on
Please
your show,
take me too.
and we'll talk about him later. I like bald-headed men who think they know everything. I mean, that's been...
How's that working out for you, Birgit? That's as good as I can do. So.
Not very well.
It's not bad. It's like
Not
it's
bad.
not top shelf, Dr. Phil, but it's not bad.
And I've
so.
never had a bald-headed man in my life yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yet.
Now, that's her only requirement: hair,
Hair.
and that's it.
Oh,
right?
no.
So- No.
No.
There's more. All right.
There's more of it.
Yes, I imagine there probably
We'll
would
talk
be.
about
So.
that later.
We're talking about dark clouds today with Brenda Birgit, intuitive medium, spiritual advisor. And Brenda, we should mention that you worked with an animal. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. Again, we referenced Eeyore and the dark cloud that followed him as a cartoon character. And, it's kind of a cutesy thing, but again, some children are like that. And we've talked about how dark clouds can float into anybody's vicinity, and they create them, so you obviously can melt them away and get that sun shining again. But what about the perception of someone who just always has that lingering over them? I have another extended family member who we jokingly call Eeyore, actually, and it's because they just seem to be down about everything, there's just no good in the world, and on we go. So what about that predisposition? We sort of touched on it, but is that part of this equation?
I think so, and I think you come fully equipped with everything you need, and sometimes that's the attitude that you bring with, or it comes from your surrounding, whatever. You chose it before you decided to be here. Again, if it works for you and there's nothing wrong with it, I don't care what they do. Do you care?
Well,
Really?
I can only care so much before,
And then when you say to someone, is this working for you? Do you like being unhappy?
Try to sound like Dr. Phil when you
it's
ask
a-
them.
yes,
It's
do that,
important.
do
Is this
that.
working for
Is
you?
this working
Is this
for
really good? Try some of my food.
Here.
Here's some food. I'll put it in the dog dish for you.
Dr. Phil, this is him. I'm really a lovely person.
Fix me, Dr. Phil. I'm fixable.
It's just it's a state of mind. Sometimes I also have a family member who leans toward the side of, I'm going to call it depression, or the dark side, or for lack of a better way of putting it. In fact, the whole half of one family is that way. I got my dad's genes, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they fit perfectly,
They
I must
fit
say. For men's
perfectly.
jeans from 1968, they made denim to last back then, too, that's for
they
sure.
did
So.
things. They made
You did
things.
get a little bit more of one side
I
that you're
did, I
happier with
definitely
than the
did.
other, I guess. So.
And but I see these people stumbling through life, and they will call me and maybe how are you doing? Well, I'm not doing. Just blows their mind. I have to be the person who's up all the time. It's my choice to be. It's my choice to be, and I'm not always. But that's the way they are. They're bipolar, whatever. There's help for that, and I'm not talking about the mental illness. I'm talking about people who just choose to find the negative in everything.
Well, there are people who are just wired sort of differently, I
That's
suppose.
kind of what we're talking about. And, you know, it's funny because they don't stay around me very long. I have an attention span
Yeah,
of
she
an ant.
unwires them very quickly.
It's
so
like,
just-
okay, if that's what you believe, that's not my job to change you. Not my job to tell you to do it. If you want to change, it's there.
yeah, these are just ideas, by the way, too. That's probably something, we were supposed to do that at the beginning of every one of these, but we don't ever do it. It's more of a
Yeah,
afterthought. Now, not here to convince, change anybody's mind. If we can, please send money now. We could
Not
use the
send it.
donations. Yes, exactly. So
until Dr. Phil finally realizes his big mistake.
I'm taking a cut of that, Brenda. Yeah. That was almost a Bill Clinton in slipping in there. It is election season after all. And by the way, I'm not partisan, even though we're going to talk about an ass today that Brenda worked on. 4 of them, actually. So, literal ones. So,
We did.
I think we're going to have to balance this equation. You're going to have to work with an elephant, too. So,
Okay.
all right. Well, dark clouds subject I imagine we could broach again in the future.
Sure.
All these subjects can be broached again and again, and we could probably come up with different things to say about them each and every time. But fundamentally, you should know this much, at least from Brenda's perception, and I think I would pretty much agree with hers on this one, that is that you are your own lake of emotions, you are your own ocean, so that's how those clouds get created. By whatever it is that you're vibrating, the condensation goes up, and if it's making clouds over your head that are dreamy and poofy, and a little sun comes out, and then you float into them for a while and have a nice cool lemonade, and then you come down. Perfect. It's a nice day. Otherwise, they're black and stormy, and they strike you with lightning every so often, and thunder scares the hell out of you, and you don't know what to do, and the dog ran off. We do that. All of it, right?
What did he say?
You wanted to have more fun with this episode. We're having more fun.
We haven't fun yet.
And I imagine the DEA is going to be knocking on my door tonight, too. Mr. Hanson, we've seen your webcast, and we'd like to check the trunk of your car in your basement, please, immediately. We got a warrant.
He's been there before, obviously.
No, we have 2 of the original members. There's Jerry Dixon and Janie Lane. Janie Lane, I love you. True, we make this stuff.
We do.
Okay, so the clouds go up from us. You are the ocean.
And there's, you know, if you want to live that way and it's working for you, go for it. It's only when you realize that there's a better way, or another way, not even better.
Yeah, gotta be careful with better.
When you start to question, but it's good news. You know what I'm talking about with good news.
But
it comes from many, 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 many directions.
I'm going to show my socks before we're
Starts
done
with
today,
you.
too. So
It starts with you. It's the need.
it always starts
to
with you.
change it, wanting something that works a little better for you.
At our most recent improv, we had our regular heckler there, Donna, actually came by and was giving us the business once again. And, you know, that's what I always seem to do with him. Yeah, strange name for a guy, but that's his name. Boil it down to, it all comes back to you, because he has these huge questions and he expects you, and maybe sometimes me even, to know the answer when we're doing our presentations. We don't have the answers to those big questions, but the wonderful thing is, he does for himself. You have the answers for you, and as a conduit, a spiritual conduit, you can help others perhaps get in touch with their own. But I love doing that to him because you can see the fear that strikes him, and it's not because I like to see him, well, little to see him afraid, actually. But it's wonderful because it seems like there's a mini epiphany that happens every time. There's a little tiny scintilla of, yes, I can make up my own mind, yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's this whole thing about looking at people and the choices they make and finally reaching the stage or age or group or whatever in your life where you don't have to change them. The questions that this person has are thrown out there for a reason, attention, recognition, whatever, and it's not even a question that needs to be answered. It's just, hi, thank you for being here type thing. You handle it beautifully. You always do.
It's part of my training, actually, I think so. Years and years of working with boos and hisses and people who throw rotten fruit. Pay it off, definitely. I think we need to talk about one element here that people might kind of be thinking about in the back of their minds, but they don't maybe want to bring to the forefront because they want to shoo it aside and wish everybody the best. So
Is he
let's
going to talk about Portuguese porn again?
get out the number. Be Portuguese, actually, wouldn't it? So,
Portuguese?
yeah. This is a woman who couldn't find the United States on a world map, probably, and I can ace every continent, so she's one to talk, her and her Lithuanian. Let's get out the number 4 meat cleaver and trim some fat, though, okay?
Is it going to hurt?
No, well, it might a little bit, because we've all known one of these people. And this is what I keep thinking, Brenda, when you talk about people who stumble through life or appear to be unhappy, or they're like Weezer from that one movie. What is the movie? Places in the Heart? No, that's with Sally Field in a different movie. Anyway, what's that movie?
That's
Steel Magnolias.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Shirley MacLaine plays Weezer. Just,
I just love her.
yeah, we do too. We hope may your chakras be aligned. Like ours are. So, and in the rainbow, that the jewels come out of the little package too. The little.
Yes.
What about people who have that big change happen to them, Brenda? It can happen to them when they find organized religion, which we're not saying is a bad thing if it changes someone for the better. It happens to people when they quit smoking, when they quit drinking. It seems to be all they want to talk about. A lot of times it gets very boring, but it's a big deal for them, so you listen. But what about people who do go through that transformation? They are kind of a downer for the most part for a lot of the time you've known them, and then all of a sudden one day something happens, or they just wake up and they decide, I'm going to change this, and then they're the happiest person in the world. It's kind of freaky and a little annoying, so how do we help them with that?
We don't help them.
We don't.
It's their journey.
It's their deal.
And also, anyone who is happy wants everybody around them to see this thing that's happened to them. And that's perfectly normal, I think. They usually find they're talking to the back of my head as I'm leaving the room. Not very nice, but I mean, people go through transformations in work, we all know. And they do what they do because they want to do it. And they finally get to the place where it's working or it's not working. If it's not working for them, then they will, okay, people aren't really interested in change. Nobody can talk anybody else into anything. There has to be a need there. And maybe if it looks like you're talking them into it, they have a need to please you. You know all about that.
We're going to point fingers at me now. On that note, by the way, we should give our condolences to everyone who ever had their mind altered by the Reverend Sun Myung Moon, who passed away actually earlier this week, and proved out, as we all kind of suspected, that enough Oreos and Twinkies within a 36-hour period can alter anybody's chemistry, including their brains, enough to do anything that someone says. So it's a very interesting time. I have a relative who passed many years ago. Great guy. I always feel like he's with me. I almost feel like in some way he sort of took a piece of him and stuffed it into me after he died to help me go forward and be on my own journey. But he actually was recruited by the Moonies in the 1970s and hung out with them for a couple of weekends. Interesting times. I was young, so I didn't get a chance to really talk to him about it, and it didn't make a lot of sense, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I have a big influence in my life with an aunt that was a Southern California lady.
Oh, that's all that needs to be said. A Southern California lady,
Yeah.
Hang loose, yeah, so exactly.
And she kept saying, you have to decide who you are. Brenda.
Is everything all right back there, or Shuffy's going through his gear and he's
Did he
making
his
faces
bottle
like.
again?
Oh, I hope he doesn't quit drinking. We were just talking about how annoying that can be, actually. So, nothing wrong with empowerment. That's part of what Bridging the Gap is all about, is finding your own answers and becoming empowered. But let's face it, some people who become empowered and they just can't wait to share it with you, you don't really know what to do with it all the time. So I would say with those people, even though we joke about it, be patient, be polite, be kind, and if it gets to be too much for you, just say, hey, I can't handle this anymore. I'm feeling a little less empowered than you. I'm going to go down the street to Barney's and knock back a few. And
Whatever works for
exactly.
them and whatever works for you.
Yeah, it's all about whatever works for you. So.
It is. And bottom line is, in anything we do, is love and kindness. We haven't talked about that. If everything you do is love-based and kindness, compassion, which because I am the epitome of.
Within a realistic prism, yes.
Then it's okay. If you can tell this person you really don't want to hear, you love them or whatever, do it. If not, go to Barney's.
Well, I think one of the stigmas that we try to break, Brenda, is the fact that love and kindness has to be so gentle and demure
Absolutely
and
not.
colorless and lifeless, and we all sit around and hug the crystal. Hug it, yes, hug the crystal.
You're still trying to get me
Fine,
to get in across
but-
the crystal and you're breaking me out like, break out of this crystal.
In this country, it ought to be hug the Crisco. Hug the Crisco. Go ahead, hug it. No, don't eat any. No, don't. That maybe be just a little. Okay, now you're done. Right. we can have fun. I mean, life should be about having fun. Some people are very serious, and they're the ones that grow up to do our taxes and help us build our buildings and make sure things don't fall down. We love them. Great. They can be serious all day long. But the rest of us, I think, need to breathe a little easier and have some fun with this. I mean, love and kindness, peace on earth, welcoming our space friends down and all that. I just watched a great movie called Paul. I know I was a little late on that one. You've seen it, Shuffy. Yeah, he loves that movie. I did too. I really was different than I expected it to be. I thought it would just be...
the DVD player before I can watch anything.
She's lying. She's still trying to figure out the Betamax. We didn't have the heart to tell her that they canceled that format a few years ago. Yeah, they don't know this.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay. We'll get it for you on 8mm. So it's another good movie I actually just saw, too. Super 8's not bad. Not a bad movie, too. It was set in the 70s, so how could you go wrong with it, actually? So, two things we have left to get to, Brenda Burgett. It's not a wasted generation at all. You see the clothes that came out? Hello? I mean, I'd like to think I have a little bit of the flair going myself. You know, there was a reason for the 70s, so. You worked with an ass this week, and we're not talking about me. You actually worked with 4 of them. But what's the difference between an ass and a mule and a donkey and a burro? They are different things?
Of course.
They are, okay. You grew up on a farm, so you know.
No, I didn't. I grew up in an apple orchard.
Close enough.
Mm.
You grew up in this neck of the woods. You grew up close enough to a farm to have grown up on a farm. New Yorkers wouldn't know what to do out here. They get off the bus and go, hey, what is this? You know?
They get told really quickly what it is. And it was a very wonderful afternoon. I got to visit with these wonderful animals, and I think it was great. But I got to tell the one.
The cat stole the show, though, right?
The cat stole the show. We were in the house, and I'm sitting there, and there is no wind outside, and I hear this bang, bang, bang on the screen door. It's a wooden screen door, and I'm thinking she's going to get up and let the cat in. No, pretty soon, bang, 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 and I'm thinking, okay, so it's a cat outside. Not my business. But it only has one cat, and I'm looking at where's the cat. Pretty soon, bang, bang, bang. And I said, are you going to let your cat in? She says, no, it's dead. She said, now, I'm not going to tell you. You tell me. She says, you're the one that has all the answers. I'm thinking, I do, don't I? Okay, what is the answer?
Finally, it comes out.
But her cat had met a very violent end. And
suddenly.
Like people, yes. And like people didn't know it was gone.
It literally had no clue that it had died, so in a pet cemetery fashion, it lumbered back to the house, and, as you so eloquently put it, and I will dub it right now, gave its own version of Kitty Kitty Bang Bang, right? On the door?
Yes.
Thank you so much, thank you.
But here's what I also know to be true, that the animal ghosts in my mother's house walk through the door. They don't bang on it. They'll bang on it, but then they'll walk on through it and let you know. So it was just the coolest thing in the world.
That is a neat story.
To sit there with this wonderful person that I love today. I've met her, been around her literally maybe an hour and a half. And to see how free she was with and open to these wonderful animals that she loves and cares for. And yeah, do you think it's my cat? And I said, they're saying it is. If you want to let it in, let it in. If not, eventually it'll go through the door and come in anyway.
It just comes right through the door.
Oh,
so.
sure.
Yeah.
My mother, who doesn't believe in anything, she says.
She does.
She absolutely does. Has had some fascinating stories about cats. She loves cats. Cats had a room full of ghosts. And so she puts a little latch on it. That's going to keep the ghosts out. When I go back, I say, Mom, what's the latch on it? Well, keep things out, she said.
Things.
So one day she tells me the story. She said she heard this bang, 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 bang. And so she opens it up, and there's this black thing with big eyes. She said, just a minute, baby, I'll let you out. Went over there and opened it, and there's this black thing with these huge eyes sitting there. And I said, what did you do then, Mom? And she says, I let the damn thing out the door. She doesn't say damn.
Wow.
But very definitely this creature was playing with her. It was like, okay, she let it out. It went sailing through the den, the living room, and right straight through the screen door. Now, if I had told that story, it would have been, that's...
And if you have stories like that, you can share them with us, certainly, through the website.
We love those stories. But yeah, it was wonderful. It was a great afternoon.
So some spirits are moaners, some are rattlers, some are
They love to drop
chippers, and others are bangers, which means in Canada you have a sausage knocking on your door, I imagine, right? Because that's what they call them up there. So, yeah. You tell that story about the cat, and I can just like feel the spirit of Fred Gwynn sitting here saying, "God, not bury that cat right up there in that cemetery there." So, he was awesome in that movie. We miss Fred so much. He played Herman Munster, by the way, in The Munsters. In case you didn't know that already, you should see the movie. It's not too bad. Although, wow, that guy has a really rough time. You'd think once would be enough, but apparently not. He buries everything up there, and it comes back. So, we'll talk about that another time. Brenda, we can't escape the fact that I felt a little uncomfortable today on this edition of the program because earlier in the day I was, as usual, coordinated top to bottom, but I changed because I only wear one brand of shirt, my favorite brand of shirt in the entire world. Thank you, Mr. Stock, by the way, for making these clothes. I hope to meet you one of these days.
Get that at Kmart?
Yeah, really big K though, huge. Like you wouldn't believe how. And then they like turned it so it's almost like Greek looking. Well, I'll take you there sometime. You need to go shopping anyway. So anyway, I've had these numbers on the whole time. Jason, you getting this? Yeah, Shuffy's got this. So I've had my pinks on the whole time. Earlier today it was pink and black. I changed into this for your episode of Bridging the Gap. On this edition of the program, talked about dark clouds, talked about the spirits of asses. I haven't even died yet. We've talked about the spirits of dead cats, all kinds of things.
Socks.
Yeah, and I think we've had some fun and maybe given you some interesting ideas to think about. If you want to share some of your ideas with us, you can do that. You got ghost stories, weird stuff that's happening to you, maybe weird stuff you're just thinking of. I'd like to hear that, actually, so I'll sift through it. You can also get your serious questions, any kind of questions at all, to Brenda Burgett, and she'll help give you a little bit of insight to them with her gift of, again, being a spiritual conduit. So please send them to us. Go to the website, bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com, or same website, different address would be bridgingthegaptv.com. Remember, as well, our YouTube channel, even though I goofed it up earlier, is Bridging the Gap on TV. And again, we thank lovely guy in the nation of Ghana for helping us make sure that that name change was necessary. And hello again to the neighboring countries. Burkina Faso, I think, would be one of the countries too, just up north. I learned all my African countries in like
I hate it when
in like 2 hours.
I hate it when it gets
2
bored.
hours. I went online. I've been meaning to do this for years because I was always good at geography, but Africa, I was sucked at Africa. So I went online, found this nifty game, of course, took it 44% out of the gate, 44. Next morning, aced it. Haven't missed one since.
I'm so proud of
My
you.
brain can still learn.
So
Thank you,
proud
Dr.
of you.
Phil.
I
Thank you, Brenda Bergen.
need to give him more acknowledgement of his great...
She said to have more fun on this show.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna title this show just simply Cindy Lauper. That's it. It's gonna be the name of the show. I think it'll keep everybody guessing. So
Okay.
we'll see you the next time.
We will.
Okay.
It's been fun.
It has been fun. Brenda Burgett, Ian Hansen, Bridging the Gap. Until next time, enjoy your existence.